In the Edo period, it was customary to embark criminals on takase boats and exile them to islands. Many of the sinners were not violent criminals, but had committed their crimes out of necessity. Therefore, the convoy escorts were sometimes distressed by the miserable conditions of the criminals. One day, a man named Kisuke was exiled on the Takasebune for the crime of killing his brother. However, Kisuke did not regret his situation, but rather was amused by it. The escort Shobei became suspicious and asked Kisuke why he was so happy. Kisuke told him that he was grateful to the top for giving him a place to live, even though he was a prisoner, because he had suffered from poverty for so long. He also had a special reason for killing his brother. Kisuke, who was poor and had no relatives, lived with his younger brother, helping each other out. However, his younger brother fell ill. Feeling that he was a burden to his brother, he tried to commit suicide one day by cutting his neck with a razor blade. However, he could not die successfully. Kisuke immediately tries to call a doctor, but his younger brother holds him back. Suffering from the pain of not being able to die, the younger brother asked Kisuke to make him feel better by pulling out the razor blade stuck in his throat in a single breath. Kisuke made the painful decision to pull out the razor and kill his brother. Shobei heard Kisuke's story and was not convinced that it was a crime to kill a man to save him from suffering. As noted at the beginning of the work, a Takasebune is a convoy boat used in the Edo period for transporting criminals to islands. This fact is written in the Edo period essay Okinagusa. Mori Ogai read the revised Okinagusa and was interested in the story of a man who was exiled on the Takasebune for the crime of killing his younger brother, which seems to have inspired him to write his work, Takasebune. In those days, it was customary for criminals to be given 200 mon, about $30 in current US, by their superiors when they were exiled to the islands. Although 200 mon was a small sum of money, equivalent to buying 5 kilograms of rice at that time's market price, the man who had been suffering from poverty was very happy with the 200 mon. Mori Ogai probably found two themes in this story, knowing contentment and euthanasia, and published his work with the intention of questioning the morality of these two issues to the society. When Kisuke's brother was dying, Kisuke was faced with the ultimate choice, to watch his brother die in pain or to let him die by his own hands. This is exactly the situation in which the pros and cons of euthanasia are questioned. Of course, it is ethically unacceptable for a human being to take a human life. Especially in the Western sense of values, it would be blasphemy to allow human beings to control the lives of those whom God has created. These religious ethics are closely related to the issues of capital punishment, abortion, and war. As civilization has developed, however, the imperfection of religious ethics has become undeniable, because depending on its situation, there is a possibility that euthanasia should be affirmed. In today's Japan, euthanasia is still illegal, and life-prolonging treatment is still basically recommended. If a patient refuses life-prolonging treatment, he or she must wait for natural death while suffering. Euthanasia is not allowed even if the patient wishes to do so. Mori Ogai never advocated euthanasia as good or bad, but his intention is for us readers to think about this topic. Although it is often thought that euthanasia is the most important theme, some people say that Mori Ogai was actually more insistent on chisoku. Chisoku is a Zen word which means knowing contentment. This can be rephrased as knowing one has enough or satisfying with what one has. Kisuke was happy with his mere 200 mon, and he had no place to settle down due to poverty, but was willing to work hard in the place he was given, even though he was exiled to the island. Knowing how Kisuke felt, his escort Shobei had the following thought. When one is ill, one wishes one did not have this illness. If they do not have food for the day, they wish they could eat. If they have no reserves for emergencies, they wish they had some. Even if we had reserves, we wish we had more reserves. As you can see, when you think about it from one place to another, you never know how far you will go and how far you will be able to stop. In short, human greed has no end. Nevertheless, Shobei was impressed to know that there were some people like Kisuke who could be content with such circumstances. This insatiable human desire is actually a hidden satire to the government of the time. At the time, Japan was in the midst of World War I and confronted China with an unequal treaty called the 21 Articles of Demands. Japan was pushing for aggression against other countries and demanding excessive concessions from China. This is an event that truly symbolizes the boundless desire of the leader of a nation. Mori Ogai was doubtful about the Japanese government that did not learn Chisoku, and through Kisuke's situation, he reminded the society to know their present self. He avoided direct expression because the Meiji government of the time was pushing for the suppression of socialists and restrictions on the ideas and speech of literary figures. Since explicit criticism of the government would have been caught by the censors, he intentionally tried to dodge the censors by using ambiguous expressions or metaphorically another theme like euthanasia. And today, the world is still a place of conflict due to the insatiable desire and pride of its leaders. Mori Ogai's message will be a strong reminder even for today's society.